Now, with music essentially being a product that has no scarcity, you have to do special things to draw the listener in. Aaron Copland, American composer, broke down music into 4 distinct categories: melody, harmony, rhythm, and tone color. One of the things you can do to draw the listener in is to add in variation. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to add in variation on your harmonies. But before we get started, let's hear the riff. Now, we'll be doing these demonstrations on a clean guitar with very little distortion. That way you hear more of the clarity in each chord. Now for this riff, we're in the key of B flat major, but we start off on the 5th. And I'm actually playing an F, the 5th, and then going to a flat 7th, just for a little bit of spice, to the A flat. And then I'm going to an E major, which is the 4th, then down to a C minor, which is the 2nd, and then back to the root, the 1, which is a B flat major. So what's happening is the 5th and the flat 7th are both dominants. The 4th and the minor 2nd are both subdominants, and it's resolving back to the 1. It's essentially a plagal cadence. Now, to make the harmony sound fuller, I'm actually playing a power chord riff underneath. And the reason I'm doing that is to draw a connection from the bass to the higher register voicings I'm playing for the main harmony. So the main harmony for the riff is playing the same chords, just at a higher octave. And that way you get the full register from bass all the way up to the highs. Now what I'm going to do is treat that riff as if it's the verse and show you how you can add harmonic variations into each successive riff. That way, the listener is going to want to listen through the entirety of the song and keep coming back time and time again to pick up on little nuances that they may have missed. Now I'll be going over 5 different concepts on how you can add variation. Changing the voicings, adding extensions, using a parallel key, layering, and changing the harmony into a riff. So I'm going to start out with the easiest, and that's just changing the voicings of each chord. So F to the E flat, you're really playing the G chord shape and the D chord shape. And then to get to the E major, I'm essentially just playing the top 3 strings of the general power chord. And then finishing it off with 3 barred strings, which would essentially be the 3 high strings of the C minor power chord. So that shape goes from... So there's not a lot of change there, and then sliding down to finish it off in the B flat. And this, again, is just the power chord. So what's happening is I'm getting a fall, and then a slight rise, followed by a slight fall. So it kind of has this kind of flowing pattern. What I want to do is use my harmony to create a steady rise, and how I'm going to do that is come up here to your normal F chord, and if you just slide it up to the 4th position, that's the A flat power chord. So now you've got a pretty big leap. And then I'm going to leave all the other chords the same. And what that does is go from the fall, to the fall, to the slight rise, and then back to home. Now we're going to go from big jump, to big jump, to slight jump, and then back to home. So instead of going like this, we're going da 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 da. Now another thing you can do is look at your parallel keys. Since the main riff I'm playing is in the Mixolydian mode, it's very easy jump to go to natural minor. What's happening in the Mixolydian is the flat 7th is clashing a little bit with your major chord, and that's causing a tiny bit of tension. When you switch to the natural minor, the 7th is now natural, but the 6th is clashing. It wants to be flattened, but it's raised, and so that's giving you a little bit of tension. But because I'm playing the higher register of the Mixolydian, it's going to fit pretty well to play most of these chords in minor. Now you don't want to just play minor, or if it's in a minor key, just play the majors. That could get a little stale and it might change the song too much. So you need to look at some of the harmonic benefits of whether to do minor, minor seventh, minor ninth, something like that. So how I'm going to start it off is looking at the F chord. It's going from major to minor, but since it's the fifth, you kind of want it to be a dominant. Sometimes you would leave it as a major, but what I'm going to do is actually just make it an F minor seventh. That way it's not as sad as a pure F minor. It has a little bit more tension and it wants to go somewhere a little bit more than just kind of resting in that darker spot. And then now I can go to the A flat major. Because we're in B flat minor, the 7th degree is naturally major, so I don't have to change it. Now I can come up to this E minor, and I kind of like how that fits, so I'm not really going to do anything with it, nor am I going to do anything with the C minor. But then when I finish, I'm going to the B flat minor 7th. So that way I've got 2 minor 7ths in there. And I like to throw this in just to add a little bit more color to it, but that's really just the 7th note. But that way it doesn't sound too dark and too sad, but it still retains the minor chordality and the minor harmonics of it. Now to me, the third and final, and let's face it, spiciest way to add harmonic variations with your chord voicings is to use extensions. Now an extension is going to be anything past the normal triad. So if you're playing a C, the normal notes are going to be a C, E, and G. So if I take this last C off and make that a B, now it's a C major 7th. That's essentially all an extension is. You're just adding notes into it. Now I like to start sections off a little bit in your face and a little bit spicy. And what better way to do that than the Hendrix chord? Now the Hendrix chord is what's known as a 7th sharp 9 chord. And so your natural F major is going to be an F followed by an A. And then you add your 7th on it. Okay, that's just a normal F 7th. That sounds cool. But what Hendrix did in Purple Haze, and what guitarists love about it, is now I'm adding an A flat. So I've got F major and F minor in the same chord. That's a lot of spice. Now for the A flat chord, I'm going to be playing this. And what that is A flat, D, G flat, C. And what that's going to be called is an A flat 7th with a flattened 5th. Now the next chord I'm going to be using is just a regular E flat 7th. And to finish off this part of the progression, just a regular C minor, and then adding on a D. And that's just going to be a minor 9th chord, C minor 9th in this case. And then to wrap the entire thing up, I'm just bringing it home to a B flat 7th. Nothing special, you want everybody to know you're resolved, but you want just a little bit of tension. So it'll sound a little bit like this. Now for these last two styles of harmonic variation, it's actually going to work out fine if you're playing a distorted guitar. So the first style I like to look at is instead of playing the chords, switch up to a riff. Now when I'm building a riff, I like to have a good understanding of what the melody, the rhythm, and the entire song is doing. So for this song, I'm actually feeling each measure in counts of 8, and I'm playing 3 to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So those first two sections have a little bit of havoc and a little bit of tension. And what I build from that is this first part, that's the tense part. So that's the part where I want to put in a little more action and have the riff doing a little more, where this 5 count is a little bit more of the release, so I'm going to have it doing a lot less work. So what I'm going to do for this riff is I'm going to dance around the A flat that I want to land on for the second part by starting on the G, pulling off to the F, then jumping to the A, then going back down to the F and landing on the A flat. So have it do something like this. And then to release the tension, I'm going to slide up on the D and G strings from the 2 to the 4, which essentially is going to set me up for the bar chord of the A flat. So it'll sound something like this. You have the build and the tension at the beginning, and then the gentle release at the end. Now from here, on this A flat, I'm actually in a really good position to drop into the E flat, which is the same chord shape as the D that we would normally play. And this is where it's important to know your chord shapes and how they can slide up or down the neck. That way you can build a melody or riff based on the chords that you're trying to play, but just picking out the notes you want. So what I'm going to do from here is drop into this shape, but I'm not going to play the chord. What I'm actually going to do is take this B flat and slide it, and then pick up to the E flat. So it'll end on. And that's just a simple kind of country blues kind of lick. And then that puts me back here at the B flat, to which I can easily slide back up to the C, and now I'm in the C minor. And then from there, I'm just going to slide up to the E flat, that would be the natural minor for the C. From there, I need to get to my B flat. But because I've been playing it in just straight 4s, and it's a kind of release that I play for 2 bars, I don't want to add any kind of tension to it, make it too chaotic. So what I'm going to do is just come to the B flat and play 8th notes ascending up the scale. To kind of end the riff off in a home kind of feeling. Alright, now the final type of harmonic variation I'm going to go over is just the idea of layering. It was really big in the 90s, bands like Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, they did it all the time. All you're really doing is layering on octaves or chord extensions on top of what you're already playing. So if you're playing the F power chord, you might want to play it here. You might want to play the same F power chord but on a different string. So kind of what you want to do is just find the higher octaves for each chord you're playing and just play that on top, keeping the same rhythm. You want to be tight, you want to be locked in, but all of a sudden you've got a low end on the bass, you've got your guitar, your main guitar riff playing the kind of low mids, you might have a second guitar playing the mids, then you've got this high octave up here that's really grabbing the listener and making them pay attention. So those are the 5 types of harmonic variations I like to use to add a little bit of spice to each of my successive verses and chorus. So take them, use them, improve upon them, do what you need to, write good songs, follow the music, own the show. Make sure you follow me on my socials. If you want to see really cool sunsets, it's B_Rowen at Instagram. Comment, like, share, subscribe, all that nice jazz down there. And I will see you in the next one. B-Row out. Whoa, whoa, whoa.